Thank you so much. Mr. Speaker, my grandmother, whom I love dearly, was lying on a hospital deathbed, and none of us were allowed to be there to comfort her in her final moments. I couldn't even carry her coffin on my shoulders. I also had to endure the agony of watching alone online the funeral of my uncle, my fun-loving uncle, and we were not there to comfort my brother-in-law's father, who had somehow contracted COVID in a Slough care home during his final moments. All this because we followed government guidance. Having experienced such painful personal sacrifices, like many others, imagine our collective disgust when, in order to curry favour with the Prime Minister's chief advisor, we see psychophantic, spineless, hypocritical government ministers lining up to defend the indefensible, saying it's time to move on, with some even having the gall to tell us that they too go for a long drive when they need to get their eyesight tested. What an absolute disgrace, and they shall be thoroughly ashamed of themselves. So when is the Prime Minister finally going to apologise to the nation for not mustering up some courage and integrity, for doing the honourable thing and sacking his chief advisor, who so shamelessly flouted his own government guidance, so that he could have regained that lost public trust and confidence, and he could have demonstrated that it's not one rule for him and his elite chums and another for the rest of us plebs?
Well said.
It is very emotional, Prime Minister.
Perhaps the best thing I can say, Mr. Speaker, is how deeply I think the government, everybody sympathises with those who have gone through the suffering described by the gentleman opposite. And no one can, who hasn't been through something like that, can imagine what it must feel like to be deprived of the ability to mourn properly, to hold the hands of a loved one in their last moments in the way that the honourable gentleman describes. And I know how much sympathy there will be with him. I take his criticisms most sincerely of the government and everything that we have done, but all I can say, we have tried throughout this pandemic to minimise human suffering, to minimise loss of life, and for where we have, and for, as I've said before, when he asks me to apologise, I do. I apologise for the suffering that the people of this country have endured, and all I can say is that nothing I can say or do can take back the lost lives, the lost time spent with loved ones that he describes, and I'm deeply, deeply sorry for that.